Alright, welcome back to Dinopedia. Today's entry is on the Carcharodontosaurus. We're going to be looking at the ARC one and reworking it for Dino World. Let's get into it. Remember to like if you like and subscribe down below if you really like the video. So of course, our schedule as always is reviewing the ARC Survival Carcharodontosaurus, revealing some tips and tricks for the Carcharo, and potential add-ons for ARC Survival Ascended, and then reworking the dinosaur for my new game, Dino World. Let's get into it. So first we have the ARC Survival Ascended Carcharodontosaurus. Obviously it's an animal, so it goes in Animalia for its kingdom, group Reptilian, because it's a reptile, dinosaurs are lizards, or ancestors of lizards, and description is a theropod. A theropod is a carnivorous three-toed dinosaur, so a Carcharo has 3 toes. It is also, most of them do have 3 fingers, but some of them do have more than that. So it's mostly about the toes, but then again, most theropods also do have only 3 fingers. So its traits in ARC, it will attack players and creatures on sight, regardless of if it needs to or not. So usually if you find a Carcharo, it will be alone unless it is with a Rex or a Giga, because it will not attack a Giga and will not attack a Rex in the wild, but it will, obviously, if you tame it and you order it to attack one. It will win against a Rex, but it will not win against a Giga unless it is high enough level. So of course the stat block for the Carcharo, of course it has 70,000 health, so almost as much as a Giga. Stamina 480, oxygen 150, food and water 4,000 each, weight 650, melee 211, speed is 11.2 meters per second, walking speed and swimming speed is 1 meter per second. It is not a good swimmer, and torpor is 6,000. So some tips and tricks. It has multiple passives. The Carcharo has many passives. It has 3 main ones that you're going to want to learn about and know how to use. So Killing Frenzy, after landing a fatal blow, so killing a dinosaur or another creature, this dino gains a speed buff and a immunity to being stunned for 10 seconds, and if it gets another kill while Killing Frenzy is ongoing, it will refresh the timer. So you have 10 seconds. If it's like 2 seconds to go and you get another kill, it will refresh the timer to 10 seconds again. So you can keep refreshing the timer by getting kills even if you are in a Killing Frenzy. And then you have Blood Rage. Blood Rage runs the same after landing a fatal blow. Blood Rage also, this other passive also starts with Blood Rage, granting a healing and melee attack buff. So your passive regen when your dinosaur is healing back up, it heals back up faster, and it has a greater attack damage. It's also a stacking passive, so with more stacks gained per kill if the health base of the kill is higher. So let's say you kill a Dodo versus a Bronto. A Dodo will probably give you 1 stack of Blood Rage, but a Bronto may give you 10 to 15 stacks. And the more stacks you have, the more percentage you get. So let's say, I think it's a 1.75 melee attack buff. So that's for a Dodo. If you kill a Bronto, you times that by 10, so you'll get a 17.5% melee attack buff. So it is stack based, and the higher the health of the creature you kill, the more stacks you get. Stacks will go away over time, however, if the dinosaur does not get a kill. So that is important to know for boss fights especially. So then we also have Incited Roar. Using its Roar converts stacks of Blood Rage into incited stacks, giving nearby allied creatures a speed buff. So let's say instead of attacking, you want to give other allies a speed buff. So you know that Blood Rage is going away and you really just want to attack the boss, but you know that your Blood Rage is going to run out before the stacks are going to go away before you're able to kill the boss. So you want to give all your other creatures a speed boost on their attacks. Well, you use your Incited Roar to incite nearby targets, nearby allied creatures, giving them a speed buff with your Incited Roar stacks, converting blood stacks into incited stacks, which is a very useful tool in a boss fight, because while you may be able to use Blood Rage on a bunch of enemies, with only one enemy, if you don't kill the boss in a quick amount of time, Blood Rage will run out before you kill the boss. So it's better if your stacks are about to go away to convert those with your Incited Roar, so that your stacks are actually used for something and it can go to multiple creatures instead of just yourself. So some tricks as well. It is a good mount for the map Extinction, the DLC pack of the Extinction map. It's a great open world boss fighter, which is why it's good for Extinction, because with the Titans it's better because you just run into them instead of having them just in a circle. And it is a good defender from orbital supply drops. So placing it next to an orbital supply drop with all those creatures that spawn in to try and defeat you once you get to one, it's good to have this one because you can just activate Blood Rage after getting a kill and then go on a Killing Frenzy. Same with extinction. It's good because open world boss fighter means that you're not locked in a location and you can like just go up against an open world boss fight, and you don't have to worry about any. You don't have to worry about fitting your Carcharo, because most boss fights on other maps are in caves, and Carcharos are big, so they're not going to be able to fit into a cave. So it's better to have the Carcharo for open world boss fights because, well, it's not going to fit into most other caves. So you do want to, it is better to use it for open world boss fights instead of just regular boss fights. And then finally, some other things that it's good for. Hexagon Gatherer, if you're on the DLC map Genesis 2, it's a good way to gain hex points, as Blood Rage gives it a speed buff and a damage buff. So of course it's good for getting hex points in Genesis 2. And also number 4, base ambush. Same with a Giga. Luring a wild Carcharo into another player's base while taming gives you the ability to ride it for a limited time, because while you ride it, you can ride a Carcharo for a limited time while you are taming it with sacrifices, while also retaining its wild stats, because a wild Carcharo is more powerful than a tamed Carcharo, just on base stats alone. And you can also use another player's tames as sacrifices in the process. So let's say your player has a bunch of parasaurs lured into their base and use their parasaurs as the bait or the sacrifices, and then you can ride it around killing everything else using Blood Rage and Killing Frenzy, because of course even if a wild one kills something, it still gains its passives, and you can use these kills as sacrifices to tame it further. So very useful base ambush, and it allows you to tame it a little bit faster. So some additional qualities, honestly, for the Carcharo, it's more about balancing, because it is a pretty OP tame. It kind of makes the Giga somewhat useless, even though the Giga can pretty much take care of the Carcharo easily. So Gigas can still pretty much kill Carcharos unless they're like, it's a level 100 versus a level 20 Giga, maybe, but a Giga is still going to one tap a Carcharo pretty easily. So really balancing, I would say lower the health stats to maybe 60,000 or 50,000, but balance with a higher damage output. So increase its damage, but lower its health stats way down. So it shouldn't be like right next to the Giga. It should be a little bit lower, because I mean it's already like pretty well stacked up against anything else, but like maybe make its damage higher while making its stats way lower. And then number 2, Giga buffs. I think the Carcharo should still be better than a Giga for like fighting and stuff, because a Giga is still unpredictable because of its rage meter. But I do think a fully mutated Giga should still be the largest damage dealer in the game, because with Blood Rage maxed out at like 175% melee attack, I think that's just a little bit too overpowered, especially for something that still should be like second place between a Giga and a Rex, but like shouldn't be higher than a Giga. So I think a fully mutated Giga should still be the largest damage dealer of the carnivorous things. Obviously a Titanosaur wins against both of these, but we're not talking about herbivores, we're talking about large carnivorous threats. So of course, when comparing the Ark Survival Evolved model, we compare it to the Jurassic World Evolution 2. I think they're both solid, but I think that the horns and the spines and stuff, and just the red color patterning, I just think the Ark one is a very solid pick, because it's got like some glow, it has a gleam in its eye, and it looks more wild than this one. This one's still pretty good, but I do think that this one is better. So I think the Ark one is better than the Jurassic World one. When compared to R1, I still think the Ark one is better, but I think that's just because we're just trying to keep it a little bit more simpler. So we made it so its color patterning is more unique, which I think I like. I like that it has stripes on its back and has spots going down its tail, and I do like that its like skeletal system is more like darker than its actual skin. So I think it's actually it looks pretty cool with the color scheme. Obviously you can change, that's not all of them are not going to be yellow and black, but it's still going to, I still think that the color scheme may make up for a little bit of the fact that the Ark Carcharo is the best out of all 3 games, but I do like our color scheme and our textures a little bit better. So of course, in Dino World, there are 3 types of Carcharos. The normal one, you can find the wild and tamed Dino variant. The mutated Carcharo is the product of 2 tamed Carcharos plus a gene computer, and a dead Carcharo is a dead carcass that auto-generates in the world that can be harvested for resources. So of course, as always, it's an animal, so Kingdom Animalia, group Reptilian. Its class is Theropod, and its family is Giganot. So it's a member of the Giganoto family, which includes, of course, the Giganotosaurus, the Carcharodontosaurus, and the Mapusaurus. So of course, its stats when compared to the ARC stat block, I've basically done what I said I was going to do. I lowered its stats a little bit for most categories. Health, put it down to 60k instead of 70k. Stamina is a little bit higher at 500 instead of 480. Didn't touch any of the oxygen or food and water stats. Weight made it a little higher at 700 instead of 650. Melee docked it down to 200 instead of 211. Speed docked it down to 10 meters per second instead of 11.2 meters per second. Swimming speed, I increased it slightly, but not that much, 2 meters instead of 1 meters per second. And torpor, I decreased it a little bit down to 5,000 instead of 6,000. And of course, the added fortitude stat of 3. So it can still move things around pretty easily, but a Brontosaurus can still tail whack it away. So of course, additional traits, I decided to keep the Blood Rage and Killing Buff stats. And number 2 is a new one, Killing Spree, a wild Carcharo, so not a tamed Carcharo, has a rage meter, where they're passive even towards nearby players. So you can walk by one just fine, but when the rage meter hits 1,000, hits 100%, it will go on a boosted damage speed killing spree, similar to the Blood Rage ability. So it'll activate Blood Rage when its rage meter hits 100%. But if it doesn't hit 100%, it'll be passive. So you can literally walk next to a wild Carcharo and it won't attack you, but if it does have its Blood Rage meter on, its eyes will have a little tint in there, and so you'll know that the rage meter is about to happen, and you can run away because then it's going to be a bloodfest. And I think that'll make the wild Carcharo a little bit more, like, you know, it'll be more unpredictable, because you'll see one, you'll be like, does it have Blood Rage on, or is it passive? Is it fine? And then number 3, I think its roar should not incite things. I think instead of having an incited roar, it should just have a blowback roar. So its roar knocks back nearby enemies in its path, just giving a little bit of nerfs, because I think the Carcharo and Arc is a little overpowered. And then finally, its combat ability is Fear Factor. Enabling this ability will prevent nearby creatures from attacking the Carcharo for a limited time. Obviously, Rexes have the highest intimidation, so obviously they're not going to be affected by this, but Gigas, Brontos, most dinosaurs, nearly all creatures will not attack the Carcharo and instead fear it, so they won't attack it because they'll be fearful of it, and such and such. So just a thing to, like, if it's low on health, activate this so that most things will not attack it, so it can heal up a little bit. Alright, and the last thing we're going to talk about is dino spawns in the main map of Europa. Obviously, blue is guaranteed, green is very likely, yellow is few to likely, orange is rare, red is very rare, purple is dead, carcasses as always. And the biomes you can most likely find it in. I know this map looks a little bit wild, but it is a very diverse. There is only like specific places you can find these. So you can find them in Highlands, which includes the Highlands over here, the high grasslands in this little corner over here. So just like this little bubble right here, the Highlands of the Volcano Bay, Highlands in the Cherrywood Forest, and the Highlands grass area as well. You've got also some high cliffs over here, so you can find them over here as well, and some high jungle cliffs over here, so you can also find them as well. Very likely to find them on these cliffs and highland plains. But also you can find them in river valleys. So we've got a river right here, a river right here, and a river right here. So of course you can find them in these river valleys. You can find them fewer than where you'd find them in highlands, but still few to likely to be found in river valleys. Alright, and that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe if you like it. Comment down below your thoughts. Everyone have a blessed day as always. And of course, toodaloo!